So Ari Melber is with me here. Ari, let me just, something that jumped out to me, and I'm kind of working this document in real time, but we've talked a lot about the mindset of Donald Trump and how important that was going to be to understand whether he knew what he was doing was in the furtherance of a crime. And now we have it here in the indictment. These claims, according to the indictment, these claims about the elections, the claims were false. The defendant knew that they were false. In fact, the defendant was notified repeatedly that his claims were untrue, often by the people on whom he relied for candid advice on important matters and who were best positioned to know the facts. And he deliberately disregarded the truth. And then it goes on to list examples of him disregarding that truth.
Yeah, that's a core of this brand new indictment that we've just gotten, because the lies here are actually crimes, according to Jack Smith. That language, defraud the U.S., means that you're knowingly perpetuating a fraud. This is something we've been waiting on. I'm just going to hold it up here for our newsroom cameras. We talk about a speaking indictment. This is something more like a shouting indictment.
Yeah.
This is incredibly detailed. We've been making our way through it. I've read part of it. It is incredibly broad, specific, and damning. The number of states involved are far broader than you would need. We're seeing basically a multi-state conspiracy allegation, what they call the 6, quote, contested states. We're seeing basically 3 conspiracies Jack Smith charges Donald Trump with. You've alluded to these in your reporting, and I just want to read from, we have 3 of them laid out at one point where he says, with some detail, the conspiracy to defraud the U.S. was using fraud to impair and obstruct the lawful federal government function to process a presidential election. Conspiracy 2, to corruptly obstruct and impede the January 6th congressional proceeding. That's, of course, the day that they stormed the Capitol for that proceeding. And then C, a conspiracy against the right to vote and have one's vote counted in violation of federal law. And so this is very specific. We've heard a lot of spin and minimizing and lies, outright lies, about what happened in and around January 6th. This is now going to be tested in court. The new indictment of Donald Trump here is Jack Smith saying there were these 3 conspiracies that are charged. As for those 6 co-conspirators, my view, and our analysts will weigh in, but I think this is a broader set of co-conspirators than many were expecting. There was talk about what my colleague just mentioned, that there was a DOJ official, Mr. Clark. There was Mr. Eastman, a very controversial lawyer who was pushing things that he himself admitted in writing were probably unlawful. But this is 6 individuals. We have the 4 attorneys, the DOJ official, and then co-conspirator 6, a political consultant who implemented a plan to submit fraudulent slates of presidential electors. And the reason why this is also really significant as a very strong indictment here is we're looking at a lot of different lanes. Jack Smith has to have the evidence to prove all of them, but he's also going to be presenting to a jury, if this goes to trial, many different crimes, 3 different conspiracies. And so if you win some, not all of those, you still have then a conviction. And so, Andrew, I would bring you in on that. And the vice president part is the one more thing I wanted to flag and get your legal analysis on, as we're all kind of doing this in real time. This looks like new information to me. I'm reading from page 33, and again, we're just going through this.
You're a fast reader.
On December 25th, vice president called the defendant, the former president, Donald Trump, listed as the defendant. So this is Christmas Day, obviously. Called the defendant to wish him a Merry Christmas. Reading from the new indictment, the defendant quickly turned the conversation to January 6th. So this is, of course, about 2 weeks out. It says, quote, the vice president pushed back, telling the defendant, as he had before, quote, you know, I don't have the authority to change the outcome. And then this very damning narrative continues December 29th, January 1st, January 3rd. I'm not going to read all of them, but it basically is outlining as criminal evidence, and this has never happened before today, as criminal evidence what the then outgoing president, Commander-in-Chief, Donald Trump, was doing and saying to officials in government, including his number 2, the vice president, is criminal evidence of a conspiracy to defraud the United States. The pushback to this, and the defendant's presumed innocent, it would be, well, doesn't the president have broad authority to make inquiries, requests, and even issue orders to his subordinates? And here what we're seeing, and Andrew, weigh in if you like, is an argument by Jack Smith that was actually crossing over from governing to abusing the power of the United States government to defraud and commit a crime against the U.S.
Well, let's remember that every government official, most of all the President of the United States, whoever holds that office, takes an oath of office to uphold the Constitution. And Eric, to your point, if you look at paragraph 90B on page 33, You have the allegation clearly coming from the Vice President of the United States, who, remember, went into the grand jury and testified, something he didn't provide information to the January 6th committee, and said that the President of the United States told him falsely that the, quote, Justice Department was finding major infractions. And we know that's not true. We know that from Bill Barr. We know that from Jeffrey Rosen. We know that from Rich Donahue. We know that Jeff Clark was willing to say, I am going to say that, which is what the former president wanted. Just say it, even though it wasn't true. So this is definitely a major new allegation. I just wanted to comment for a moment on what some viewers may have as a question, which is you referenced that there are these 6 co-conspirators who are not named but are clearly sort of identified, and people are going to be quickly putting together who they are. And somebody might ask, well, why are they not charged in this?
Or why not named, yeah.
Exactly. Well, not named is because they aren't charged. Okay. So that's just a DOJ policy, which is basically put up or shut up. If you charge somebody, you can name them. If you're not charging them, you can't name them. So that's why you have things like in the Mar-a-Lago case saying employee 1, employee 2, attorney 1, attorney 2. So here it's by description, but not by name. But if you look at the cover page, it is just United States versus Donald J. Trump. This, to me, shows that Jack Smith wants to get to trial, and he wants to get to trial quickly. Those other people may be charged in a separate case. He clearly is saying that they are guilty. But the reason that you don't see 7 defendants is if you want to get to trial, you bring something narrow and focused against the defendant who you need to try before the general election. So if I were those 6 people, I would not be sleeping well tonight, but I don't think that we should anticipate they're going to be included here, because this shows a singular focus for Jack Smith on speed.